A few years ago, the idea that Chinese developers could compete with the biggest names in gaming seemed almost impossible. Today, that conversation has completely changed, with breathtaking graphics, innovative combat, massive worlds, and stories deeply rooted in Chinese history and mythology. A new generation of Chinese AAA games is capturing the attention of millions of players around the world. Of course, Black Myth Wukong is the game that sparked this global movement, but it isn't alone anymore. Games like Where Winds Meet, Wuchang, Fallen Feathers, Phantom Blade Zero, and Lost Soul Aside are proving that China is becoming one of the most exciting forces in modern game development. So, which of these games truly stands above the rest? Today, we'll compare all five across graphics, combat, story, exploration, RPG mechanics, boss design, replay value, and overall experience. Let's begin with the game that changed everything. When Black Myth Wukong launched, it instantly became one of the most talked about action RPGs in recent years. Inspired by the legendary novel Journey to the West, the game combined cinematic storytelling with challenging combat and unforgettable boss battles. Rather than overwhelming players with a massive open world, Game Science chose a more focused design. Every environment is carefully crafted, every boss has purpose, and nearly every encounter draws inspiration from Chinese mythology. Its combat rewards patience, precision, and mastery, making every victory feel earned. For players who love difficult action games with rich lore, Black Myth, Wukong sets an incredibly high standard. But while it excels in mythology and boss design, the next game takes a completely different approach. If Black Myth is built around mythology, Where Winds Meet is built around history, set during the final years of the later Zhou dynasty and the beginning of the Song dynasty, it places players in the role of a wandering martial artist, navigating a world shaped by political conflict, personal honor, and ancient martial arts. Instead of following a tightly guided path, players are encouraged to explore a vast open world filled with villages, cities, hidden masters, side stories, and dynamic events. Combat feels elegant rather than brutal. Sword techniques, counterattacks, stealth, and traditional Wuxia abilities create a fluid fighting system that rewards creativity as much as skill. While Black Myth delivers the fantasy of becoming a legendary hero, Where Winds Meet offers something equally compelling: the freedom to forge your own legend. And that's only the beginning, because the next three games push Chinese game development in entirely different directions. If Black Myth Wukong draws its strength from mythology, Wuchang Fallen Feathers embraces darkness. Developed by Linzi Games, Wuchang is a Souls-like action RPG set during the final years of the Ming Dynasty, a time of political instability, war, and mysterious supernatural events. Players take on the role of Bai Wuchang, a pirate warrior suffering from a mysterious illness known as the Feathering Disease. As the disease spreads, terrifying monsters begin to emerge, blurring the line between reality and nightmare. Combat is fast, aggressive, and highly rewarding, encouraging players to master dodges, weapon skills, and perfectly timed attacks. Rather than relying on mythology alone, Wuchang combines historical settings with dark fantasy and horror, creating an atmosphere unlike any other game on this list. Few games have impressed players with their combat quite like Phantom Blade Zero. From the very first trailer, it became clear that this wasn't trying to imitate traditional Souls-like games. Instead, it focuses on speed, precision, and stylish martial arts action. Set within the mysterious Phantom world, players control Soul, an elite assassin framed for a crime he didn't commit. With only 66 days to uncover the truth, every battle becomes a desperate fight for survival. Combat flows seamlessly between sword attacks, acrobatic movement, counters, and cinematic finishing moves, making every encounter feel like an action movie. If you're searching for one of the fastest combat systems among upcoming action RPGs, Phantom Blade Zero is impossible to ignore. Aside, unlike the darker worlds of Black Myth or Wuchang, Lost Soul Aside delivers a more futuristic fantasy adventure. Originally created by a single developer before evolving into a full studio project, the game quickly gained worldwide attention for its spectacular visuals and fluid combat. Players control Kaiser, a young warrior bonded with a powerful dragon-like companion named Arena. Together, they unleash devastating combinations, magical abilities, and lightning-fast attacks against massive enemies. Many players compare its combat style to games like Devil May Cry and Final Fantasy, emphasizing speed, aerial combos, and stylish gameplay over methodical combat. It's easily one of the most visually dynamic games in this lineup. Now that we've introduced all 5 games, let's compare them. When it comes to graphics, every title shines in its own way. Black Myth Wukong creates breathtaking mythological landscapes with extraordinary environmental detail. Where Winds Meet captures the beauty of historical China through expansive cities, mountains, and living ecosystems. Wuchang Fallen Feathers focuses on dark, haunting environments filled with decay and supernatural horror. Phantom Blade Zero delivers stylish cinematic action with dramatic lighting and fast-paced animations. Meanwhile, Lost Soul Aside embraces high fantasy visuals, colorful effects, and explosive combat that constantly fills the screen with energy. Rather than asking which game looks best, the better question might be, which artistic style speaks to you the most? Combat is often the deciding factor when choosing an action RPG, and this is where these 5 games truly separate themselves. Black Myth Wukong emphasizes patience, timing, and mastering enemy attack patterns. Every boss encounter feels like a carefully designed test of skill. Where Winds Meet offers a more fluid martial arts experience, blending swordplay, counters, stealth, and traditional Wuxia techniques into a dynamic combat system. Wuchang Fallen Feathers leans heavily into the Souls-like formula, rewarding calculated aggression, precise dodges, and strategic weapon choices. Phantom Blade Zero is built around speed and style. Its lightning-fast combos, cinematic finishers, and seamless movement make every fight feel like a martial arts film. Finally, Lost Soul Aside focuses on spectacular action, allowing players to chain together flashy attacks, aerial combos, and powerful abilities with incredible freedom. None of these combat systems are objectively better than the others. They simply deliver 5 completely different fantasies. Storytelling is another area where these games take unique approaches. Black Myth Wukong tells a mysterious tale inspired by Journey to the West, rewarding players who enjoy discovering hidden lore and interpreting environmental storytelling. Where Winds Meet creates a living historical world where exploration, side quests, and player freedom are just as important as the main narrative. Wuchang Fallen Feathers combines real historical events with dark fantasy, creating a haunting journey through a collapsing dynasty. Phantom Blade Zero delivers a personal revenge story wrapped in political conspiracy and martial arts intrigue. Meanwhile, Lost Soul Aside embraces a more traditional fantasy adventure, focusing on friendship, sacrifice, and saving the world from overwhelming threats. Each game targets a different audience. Some players seek mythology, others seek history, and some simply want an unforgettable adventure. So, which one should you choose? If you love challenging boss fights, Chinese mythology, and tightly designed action RPGs, Black Myth Wukong remains one of the strongest choices. If your dream is to explore a vast historical world while mastering martial arts, Where Winds Meet is difficult to overlook. If you're looking for a dark, atmospheric Souls-like with horror elements, Wuchang Fallen Feathers deserves your attention. If stylish, high-speed combat is your priority, Phantom Blade Zero could become your favorite. And if you enjoy cinematic action adventures filled with flashy combos and fantasy storytelling, Lost Soul Aside may be the perfect fit. The truth is, these games aren't trying to replace one another. They're expanding what Chinese game development can offer. Just a few years ago, very few people expected Chinese studios to compete on the global AAA stage. Today, that conversation has completely changed. Black Myth Wukong proved that Chinese mythology could captivate millions of players around the world. Now, games like Where Winds Meet, Wuchang, Fallen Feathers, Phantom Blade Zero, and Lost Soul Aside are continuing that momentum, each bringing its own identity, gameplay philosophy, and artistic vision. Rather than asking which game is the absolute best, perhaps the better question is this: what kind of adventure are you looking for? Because whether you're drawn to mythology, martial arts, dark fantasy, or cinematic action, there's never been a more exciting time to be a fan of Chinese AAA games. So now it's your turn. If you could only play one of these 5 games, which would you choose and why? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this comparison, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to Shane Reviews, and turn on notifications for more gaming documentaries, lore videos, and in-depth comparisons. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.